Tonight, it's breaking celebrity news, but it's not surprising. Take a look at this.
Kim Kardashian and Kris Humphries, they're not getting along at all.
Kim Kardashian is calling it quits on her husband number 2.
So how could things be falling apart just a couple of months after their big, lavish, expensive wedding? With all this high-priced glitz and glamour, the Kardashian wedding really is an Americanized version of Will and Kate's royal wedding.
Rolling this big affair into a huge 2-hour special.
The big money that's coming their way, from sponsorships to a lucrative photo deal to an all-access TV special on E, this wedding is expected to go down as the most profitable star wedding of all time. Kardashian is cashing in.
Make sure they have a really amazing, magical day that they'll remember for the rest of their lives.
Well, after just 72 days of marriage, Kim Kardashian has filed for divorce from her Prince Charming basketball player, Kris Humphries. Tonight, people are, well, they're angry. Was this whole thing just some sort of money-making sham? More than 8 million people bought in and tuned in to Kim's fairy tale wedding on E. Kim and Kris made a whopping, listen to this, $18 million off of just getting married. They reportedly raked in $1.5 million by selling the pictures to People magazine. They also sold bridal shower and engagement photos to other magazines. They were married for 72 days. Now, we did the math here, and that is $250,000 a day. Now, I don't blame them. I blame us. Why are we buying into a charade? Was this all simply a plot to make money, and did we all fall for it? Now, I've got to say, the first thing this reminded me of, for those of you that are of my vintage, was Luke and Laura's wedding on General Hospital. Do you remember that? Now, the fact is, that was actors. You know, those were, there it is, alongside of me there. Those were actors on daytime drama, had a similar kind of impact. Now we're creating the same kind of iconography for people that are supposed to be living lives and setting cultural norms, perhaps. Our kids are watching all this. Straight to my guest. I first got to my left here, my co-host on Loveline, Mike Catherwood. I also have family law attorney Vikki Ziegler. On the phone, actress and comedian Sandra Bernhard and senior executive editor of RadarOnline.com, Dylan Howard. Dylan, can you give us the latest?
Well, Dr. Drew, it came relatively surprising for everyone, although at Star Magazine, our sister publication at Radar Online, we reported some 3 weeks ago that the marriage was over. In fact, what we've been able to learn today is that some 4 weeks ago, Kim Kardashian met with a divorce lawyer in New York. Now, it turns out she couldn't file for divorce because she wasn't married in New York State, so she had to file in California. So for some weeks, she's been lawyer shopping. Now, I've spoken to a number of friends of the couple today, and I'm told, Dr. Drew, that there were 2 primary reasons for this separation, this split, this filing for divorce. And that is essentially that both families were unable to get along. On one hand, you had Kris Humphries unable to assimilate with the Kardashian family, and that's a key storyline of the show, that the daughters of Kris Jenner and Bruce Jenner can't get along with him. And then on the flip side, Kris Humphries' family wasn't that embracing towards Kim Kardashian. Indeed, a recent special highlighted an issue between the family, and those family members were very upset with the way in which Kris Humphries was being portrayed. The second issue is the allegations of infidelity. Certainly, Kris Humphries has not lived up to his end of the bargain and that vow of staying faithful. He's been partying very hard, and as one person said to me today, he's 26 years of age, going on 23.
Yeah, I think that's what I see when I watch all the footage, is a young, naive man in a situation where maybe he's over his head. But Mike, yeah, a professional basketball player carrying on, that I'm shocked. That's to me, it's stunning.
Well, I mean, look, both parties had to know what they were getting into. I mean, look right across your family table at dinner, you see Chloe, who's with Lamar Odom. It's not like the NBA lifestyle was any secret, but also Kris Humphries has to know what he's getting into. You're not marrying your average broad when you're getting into the Kardashian family. You're getting unprecedented unprecedented access from the media into all your personal, stuff.
And I'll tell you what, I challenge people to take a look at all the homes and marriages that have allowed cameras in for reality shows. Very few of those marriages survive this. Kim released this statement, quote, "After careful consideration, I have decided to end my marriage. I hope everyone understands this was not an easy decision. I had hoped this marriage was forever, but sometimes things don't work as planned. We remain friends and wish best to each other." Vikki Ziegler, 72 days. Is that really careful consideration? I'm not really buying that. And by the way, why the rush to divorce? Why not a separation or something else, but we're going to get a divorce attorney right away? It's almost like they planned it.
Dr. Drew, that is a loaded question, but I have so many questions. I would love to sit them both down and say, listen, if you did intend to get married forever, her statement actually insinuates that. I thought marriage was forever. Then why aren't you seeking counseling? Why aren't you trying to figure out if there is potentially infidelity issues or he is immature? Why aren't you trying to get a therapist to work on them? That's what makes me believe that this marriage perhaps was a hoax, which would be devastating on so many levels. And I'll tell you why. Young people, I watched the Kardashian wedding. I actually shed a tear. I mean, most people out there, obviously not in my profession because this doesn't surprise me, want to believe that people get married for the right reasons, for love, and it's their fairy tale. And that's exactly what people were hoping for. If this was a sham marriage, and I really hope it isn't, it's really sending a bad message. There was no planning. Where's the premarital planning? It's not just about the wedding and the $20 million. It's about the future.
That is my concern. Above all else here, it's making a sham of an institution that has already been under attack for many, many years. After 72 long days of connubial bliss, Kim Kardashian filed for divorce. Her so-called fairy tale TV wedding made millions when it aired on E! Now listen, I want to just take a quick beat here and remind people that this actually is no fooling problematic to me, because the institution of marriage has been under assault from many fronts, and of course there's the controversy we talked about with Sandra Bernhard, but we have Vikki, a divorce attorney, shedding a tear having watched this idealized wedding. Mike is laughing at that. And we have people really... No, but we have people buying into this being some sort of idealized experience, yet we've lost the real essence of what a marriage is. I believe that the kid, the basketball player, is actually very into this, more than anybody realizes, and is probably hurting, even though he may have been misbehaving a little bit, and I think he'll be back. But the question remains, did the producers set up a casting call to find Kim's so-called knight in shining armor? The New York Post reports that the producers of Kim's show contacted the New York Knicks about a player asking if he was single and if he wanted to date Kim, and said there was big money to be made. My casting call, is that, I mean, that to me, that's disgusting. It gets disgusting.
It is, but you have to look, and I feel like exactly like you feel. Like Chris Humphreys was a guy who got into it not knowing what he was getting into. He thought he was going to be a husband to Kim Kardashian.
They were going to move to Minnesota.
A potential father.
I think that kid believes in marriage, not the fairy tale that we had to see on TV.
But you have to understand, you're not signing up to be a husband. You're signing up to be an ancillary member of a TV show about an Armenian chick with a fat ass and her ragtag family. And that's the bottom line. Look, when you have a wedding with that much publicity and you essentially sell off everything that goes on in your life,
I don't think he bargained on. He's a kid. I don't think he bargained on that.
You're right.
I think once he got in, that's why you see all that frustration. I don't think he's happy with the cameras. I don't think he's happy with it. I have to show you this in honor of Halloween. Kelly Ripa and guest host Nick Lachey dressed up as Kim and her soon-to-be ex in happier times on This Morning. Regis and Kelly, take a look at this.
I am in love with you.
I just want to say, how good does Kim look this morning?
Thank you.
And I'm really, really tall.
He is indeed. And Dylan, I'm hearing, though, that Chris Humphreys is in love and is trying to salvage this thing. What do you hear?
Well, yeah, he was completely blindsided by this, and having spoken to his camp today, so much so he didn't even know that she was going to file today. He's back home in Minnesota. that place where he dreamed of settling down with Kim Kardashian. And that was another reason that caused strain on this marriage, if you like. He wanted her to move to Minnesota for 6 months of the year and live in LA. She didn't want to be estranged from her family. Whether or not these are genuine reason, it remains to be seen. But that whole notion of casting a husband, it was certainly a bad casting call if that was the case. And it's really going to shed light and question the following, if you like, of the Kardashians. Will people be able to stomach this if indeed it was a faux marriage? Only time will tell with their ratings.
I think that's the big question here. And, you know, Sandra Bernhard brought this up, that things are out of whack. But what's out of whack is us. We're out of whack. We watch this stuff. Let's break down the cost of Kim's $10 million wedding that aired in a two-part special on the E! channel. First, $2 million 20-carat ring that a Brink security truck had to deliver, $100,000 for a cake, 3 Vera Wang wedding dresses, dripping in millions of dollars of diamonds, and girls buy into this dream as opposed to the reality of what intimacy and family is supposed to mean. Vikki, let me go to you real quick. You're the divorce attorney. You bought into this. You shed a tear. Help me understand how that's possible. You should be steeped in the reality of all this.
I cry at commercials. So if I was with Mike and you right now, we'd be talking face to face. I cry no matter what. So that's the first thing. The second thing is I wanted.
Whoa. I cry at commercials too, but it's the ones with Sarah McLachlan singing and the puppy with one eye behind the cage.
I was going to say, Vikki, that sounds like depression. Well, we'll have to talk later. But you did shed a tear for this.
I'm happy.
But we have less than a minute. We have less than a minute. Try to help me understand. Even you bought into this. What's wrong with us?
Well, there's a lot of things wrong with this. First of all, you know what? I think people want to believe, and it's not just women. I know men. I do their prenups all the time. People want to believe in marriage, that it's going to work and it's going to last forever. And listen, people are sensitive. So I think that's part of it. At the end of the day, the ball game is this. If you don't work on it and you don't get to the basics and think about what's going to make the marriage last, the wedding doesn't mean anything. You can spend $10 million on the wedding. It doesn't mean anything.
Vikki, that is the point of the night. There are too many beautiful, fantastic weddings and crappy marriages. Marriages, I'm here to tell you marriages can work. Thank you to Vikki, Dylan, Mike, and of course Sandra from our last segment. Coming up, a mom learns about a son